It's going to be the biggest welcome to Rockville that has ever happened, and we cannot wait to welcome everyone to this amazing lineup, these amazing 4 days. The campground party really starts it on Wednesday night, and then we rock for 4 days straight. And we cannot wait to see everyone at Daytona International Speedway. So come on out, even if you can only come out for a day. Come out, join the party with us, and see what makes Welcome to Rockville America's, or actually North America's biggest rock festival.
Welcome to Rockville, May 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. That's just a few weeks away now. And as you heard Jamie say, tickets are still available. Get all that information on welcometorockville.com. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Florida Live. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 2 with more Florida Live. Have a great afternoon.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good afternoon to you. Welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon, live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and on YouTube. And it is time now for our Top 4 at 4, because it's 4 o'clock. And joining us for today's Top 4 at 4, where we break down the 4 of the big stories that we're tracking inside the Fox 35 newsroom, is news anchor John Brown. And John, we appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely. Good to see you. All right, let's start with Pope Francis, first of all. Funeral arrangements have now been set for the Pope. He died, of course, on Monday. The funeral now set for Saturday at 10 a.m. local time, their time, which is 4 a.m. our time. So if you want to see the funeral service, very early Saturday morning. It's going to take place at St. Peter's Square. President Donald Trump announced that he and the First Lady do plan to attend the funeral. The public viewing is going to begin tomorrow, according to the Vatican. And then, of course, following the funeral, the College of Cardinals begin the process of picking the next pope. By the way, there's never been a pope from America, but the dozen or so cardinals who are in the running, one is from America. So this process, as it plays out, I think is one of the more fascinating things that we get to see. It, of course, doesn't happen very often, so that's one thing that we get to watch out for next. And in true fashion, I guess in this day and age, I was flipping around on some radio shows today, and I ended up listening in on a betting show.
Ah, of course.
Did you know there's odds?
Yeah, who's the favorite?
Well, it's so funny because I'm like, wow, this is really happening. Like, you don't even think about something like that. They broke it all down. 9 U.S. Cardinals eligible out of the 138. Mathematics show it's about a 6.5% that one could be, but the bookkeepers say it's unfavorable. So they have odds favored. William Hill, Luis Antonio Tegel, and Pietro Pallone are the front runners with 7-4 odds. Cardinal Peter Erdo at 8-1. To me,
who's your money on? John?
Right, I feel like that might be wrong. I don't know. I'm not a big gambler. I don't know. People have their own moral issues. That feels wrong in some way, but I don't know what to think about that. But again, from a historical standpoint, to me, this is one of the most interesting moments that it's happened once before when my kids were old enough to actually take it in, and we're not Catholic. But I like the process of seeing how these other religious organizations work. And we're going to sit and watch this again because it's such a big process, and so many Catholics just wait for that smoke to come out again. I just think this is really fascinating.
It really is interesting. And what I also think is interesting is that, because I'm not Catholic either, but recently saw the movie Conclave, which was an Academy Award nominee. And I see a lot of people talking about that on social media. And I feel like there's more awareness outside of Catholicism of this process
No
now
question.
because of that, because it's like we kind of got a peek behind that curtain and kind of how that process works and what all goes into it. And so it is fascinating
Literal
to watch.
peek behind the curtain. That's kind of funny because that's where they are. But I had no interest really in watching conclave. But now I'm like, okay, because history's going to be playing out for people to watch. Now I do want to watch it and see what's going on.
It's a lot of good insight.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Stephan Sterns back in the news today. He, of course, the man accused of killing Matty Soto. So he and his attorneys filed a motion to delay his upcoming court hearing due to confidential information his attorneys say they recently obtained. They're not saying what the confidential information is, but the judge wasn't buying it. So it took place today. The motion was denied. That confidential information, the defense attorney's claims, was never revealed in court. The judge stated that there has been plenty of time to get ready for these hearings, citing that the case began over a year ago in February of last year. There's been nothing presented to the court that would prove the defense's claim at this point. Judge, again, denied it, and so they're going to be back in court very soon. But this trial is going to be coming up, and again, one of those cases here that is going to have nationwide attention once again.
Yeah, and also interesting because the judge said one of the reasons for denying it is he kind of asked for what this confidential information that they said they kind of stumbled upon was, and the defense attorney would not go into it and said they are still exploring it. So I know Fox 35 spoke earlier with Judge Belvin Perry, who gave a little bit of insight onto what potential reasons there could be for something like this.
Generally, it is not normal for the defense to try to keep things secret unless you have the following circumstances. One, they want to utilize an expert witness that they don't want to disclose an opinion until they know what that opinion is. So generally, that's not standard operating procedure.
So potentially an expert witness that they're still kind of going to see what the opinion might be. We'll see, but yes, so there's a suppression hearing now for tomorrow, did not get pushed back. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, and they said that they set aside about 3 hours for it. So we'll see what comes from that as the defense team continues to try to exclude some of the evidence from trial.
And one of our legal experts here at Fox 35 said, it's a pretty ballsy move to tell a judge you want it delayed because you have some information. The judge says, what's that information? And you say, I'm not telling you. He says it's not that unusual, but the way this is playing out is not going to make the judge happy if this kind of stuff continues. Okay, Snapchat under investigation in Florida after claims that it's a platform that's attracting child predators. The Attorney General, James Uthmeier, says that he's now cracking down here in the Sunshine State. He says, Snapchat, advertising to kids as young as 13. And he said this is going to violate some laws here in Florida. Most importantly, he's talking about that new law that they passed that it says you can't target children like this. So again, he's filing the lawsuit against Snapchat based on the dangerous practices that he says are existing in its operating platform. And he says this is just the beginning of actions against problematic platforms, especially as social media becomes more and more pervasive.
And he held a news conference this afternoon in Tampa and talked a little bit about what parents should know and keep in mind when it comes not just to Snapchat, but other social media platforms and things like this.
The first thing is communicate. You know, you got to be real with your kid and let them know there are dangerous people out there. If somebody is trying to message you and you don't know who that person is, you know, you don't have a preset friendship. It's not a kid from school. It's not a family member. It's just a stranger out there. You have to assume the worst. Research the parental controls that are available. Some of these sites are doing a good job of allowing parents the opportunity to track where they can see everything their kids are doing, to prevent their kids from being able to receive messages from people that aren't already in a core network. Parents should also, make the tough decision, is this the right age for my kid to have access to this application? And I've got a 5-year-old. When I say no to her, she doesn't like it. I imagine that's not going to change as she gets older. But some of those conversations need to be had, and sometimes being a parent means frustrating your kid.
So really just, a lot of, it's just a new world out there, with more and more of these social media platforms and more access to them than ever before. People getting cell phones earlier, just a lot of factors that make it kind of scary.
And law is not set in so many cases. I mean, just think about AI in particular. a lot of attorneys that you talk to say, well, we don't know how this is going to play out because AI models take other people's material and use that as their own material. Bottom line, there's no laws dictating how that's going to happen yet. So cases like this, Snapchat pushes the bounds. They say, well, there's no law protect. So anyway, this is just the start of many. Okay, let's finish with the Florida story. And this one is very, very Florida. High-speed chase with an unusual conclusion. And, well, there's the mugshot. That's unusual as well. But let's go ahead and play this, and then we'll kind of explain what's going on here.
Stop. Stop. I'm going to give you a drink. That's it.
To a high-speed chase.
Drinking some.
Well, see, that's the suspect offering one of the deputies there a drink of alcohol as he was going by. This thing just got weirder and weirder. Okay, so casually offered them some alcohol during the middle of a pursuit, according to authorities, and as you see by the video there. After the pursuit, the man questioned the reason for his arrest, and according to body cam footage, he asked deputies, well, you guys had fun, though, right? So I guess that was the end of it. But I always said, anytime you're in the middle of a high-speed chase, oh, and he got tased right there, too, so he went down quick. Anytime you're in a high-speed chase in a minivan, you know something weird is going to happen. That's not normally your best way to go. I mean, he's just laughing about it. He's all messed up there. So, again, he was, I guess, casing out a liquor store Saturday around 3 p.m. And on the way by, once again, offers them a drink, and that led to the chase.
Just trying to be helpful.
That's
just trying
Florida.
to offer them a drink.
And you see the conclusion. So, bottom line, not the best idea.
Things did not
All on
exactly
camera.
work out. I'm sure as well as he was thinking it would,
Yeah.
as he's holding the
Right. This will
drink out the
pacify
window.
these guys.
Right.
Yeah, not so much in your minivan.
Right.
All right.
Well, that's today's Top 4 at 4. John, we appreciate
Mm-hmm.
you joining us. We're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back after this, so keep it here on Fox Local.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Berggren joins me now. And Noah, we know the beaches have been crowded with a lot of Jeep owners, and it's been a nice week for them.
Oh yeah, Garrett, the weather's been fantastic, and it's only going to get nicer. And in fact, over the next couple of days, we're going to see probably one of the nicer stretches we've had this time of the year in a while. You see the view tonight from Daytona Beach. A little choppy. East wind today, gusty as anticipated on the East Coast, about 10 to 20 miles an hour. You see there the east-southeast wind sitting at 17. High today so far did get to 82 in Brevard, 86 so far in Orlando, 85 in Tampa, 87 in Fort Myers, 84 in West Palm, 82 in Miami. Right now with an East Coast sea breeze, Melbourne is about 6 degrees cooler than Tampa at 85. Over the next couple of mornings, temperatures are mild relative to average. The average morning low, Garrett, over the next couple of mornings is about 62. We'll be somewhere in the mid to high 60s as we head into the weekend and early next week. The humidity is not bad. The dew point tells you how much moisture is in the air. When there's more of it, it's more uncomfortable. When there's less of it, it's more pleasant and more comfortable. Dew point 60-ish, not bad. I mean, that's pleasant to borderline muggy, and that's where we're going to stay for a while. So the long-range pattern is still the same. We're very dry relative to average here. Very wet relative to average up in the Midwest. There's a small chance tomorrow of a shower in Marion and Alachua County, but that's about it. Temperatures today, 86 so far in DeLand, 87 in the Villages, 82 in Palm Coast, 82 in New Smyrna Beach, 83 in Titusville, 81 Cocoa, and 85 in Kissimmee. Temperatures right now are at 80 in Cocoa, 84 in Gainesville, 80 Daytona Beach, about 86 in Leesburg. It was a nice day today. By the way, you probably noticed that filtered sunshine we talked about last night if you caught us on the news. Big deck of cirrus clouds overhead, just kind of muting the sun a little bit today. Gusts are more elevated at the beaches, 19, 18, 17, 16. You see there from Daytona to Melbourne, but inland areas, just 3 in Orlando miles an hour compared to 16 in Cocoa Beach. So a heads up through early next week, as long as this gusty onshore flow continues, there will be an elevated rip current threat on our East Coast beaches. So over the next couple of days, there's a few things we're tracking. The first thing is going to be a warm up for the weekend. Temperatures will probably get into the low 90s, especially Saturday. I think mid 90s on Sunday. Now, not seen on this 7-day. There's a teeny chance of a shower tomorrow up in like Marion and Alachua County. We'll keep an eye on it. It doesn't look like it's going to be much at this point. But for Jeep Week, which does run through the end of the week in Volusia County, it's great. The humidity's not too bad just quite yet. The weekend is a fantastic early season beach and pool weekend. So if you haven't used the pool yet, you haven't been to the water park or even the beach yet since the end of last year, this weekend certainly looks like a good one to get out by any body of water.
Yeah, I have definitely done both already. I can tell you that.
And did we think it was warm enough yet, or not quite?
Plenty warm enough. Plenty warm enough. We went. I'm trying to think when it was a couple of weekends ago that we had gone to the beach, and it was pretty hot out there. So it was perfect. A perfect weekend to be out. But you mentioned the lack of humidity. Even with these higher temperatures, it is still pretty tolerable.
Oh yeah, it's. I think I told Manny and Luann this last night, Garrett, where it's July temps with March humidity. To give a comparison, because we can have, when we get to August and July here, the high temp could be 83, and it could feel 75 times more gross and hot than it does with these temps, and that's just because of the humidity. If the dew point was 78 and the air temp was 82. We'd have a heat index of 110. So it's all about that humidity. Right now, yes, it's hot, but it's more of a western U.S. vibe of heat than the humidity and hot we're going to have here later in summer.
Yeah, we'll take it. I would say it's a good middle ground right now, good compromise.
We'll cling to it as long as we can.
All right, Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Noah Bergeron, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer. Thanks for joining us here on Fox Local and on YouTube on this Tuesday afternoon. It is a busy time in Tallahassee, a lot going on at the state capitol, and time is running out for lawmakers to work on the state budget. Time is running out on the regular session, the 60-day session. And so still a lot of work to do. And earlier today on Florida Live, I spoke with Gary Fineout, who's the reporter with Politico Florida. He joined us live from the state capitol in Tallahassee to talk about where things go from here with the state budget talks and other things in the legislature.
Complete by a week from today, and essentially, they have to get everything done, everything put in a 600-700 page bill, lays out all the spending, and that's what they have to do for the year. Well, in order to get that done, though, they've got to start, and they haven't even started yet. And the reason that they haven't started is there are behind closed doors discussions going on about how big is the budget going to be, how much taxes are going to be cut, how much is there available to spend. Meanwhile, we've got the governor who's already been highly critical of some parts of the House version of the budget. So we're it's sort of very fluid here. I will say that just a short while ago, the Senate budget chair said that they were, waiting on a new offer from the House, hoping that maybe it could all come together in the next 24 hours or so. But there is a chance that the legislature will not wrap up its work on time. They're supposed to get out next Friday, May 2nd. But if they don't have the budget done within a week, they can't get out on time. And so they'll either have to extend the session or come back in a special session in May or June.
Gary, why do you think this process has taken so long this time?
Well, I think it's because there's some big ideas on the table that we're going to require some concessions from one side or the other. The House has a $5 billion tax cut plan that calls for permanently rolling back the state sales tax from 6% to 5.25%. And for all your viewers out there, some of you pay more because there's local sales taxes on top of that. But at the end of the day, that's what the House wants to do. The Senate came back with a much different offer that called for permanently removing certain items from taxation, clothes and shoes and things of that nature. But the dollar amount is still vastly below what the House wants. And we have all this going on with all sorts of bills also flying all over the place where they're not in agreement. So there's a lot of things with just a short while to go that remain very open-ended. I mean, on top of the budget, there's not a deal on condos, and there's just not a deal on a lot of stuff. And so we're just sitting here wondering, are they going to be able to sort of make it work? And the last thing I'll say is that the budget is usually for lack of a better word, it's the grease in the wheels that you get things done and everything else because you reach a deal on the budget.
Strong words from the governor again today about House Republicans. I know we have talked time and time again about this tension between the legislature and the governor, but I found interesting your piece about Danny Perez, the House Speaker, as DeSantis's kind of chief political rival at this point. What were your takeaways from that?
Well, I mean, it is clear that the House is antagonizing the governor, and he's made it, and he's returned, fire. I mean, he has gone after them day after day after day after day. I mean, he had a press conference today. He's had several. He had like one or two last week and the week before that. And he's been criticizing them all over the map, and all this has been going on, of course, while the House has sort of been investigating Hope Florida and the nonprofit foundation affiliated with Hope Florida, and you have House members who keep raising questions as to the legality of a settlement with a Medicaid vendor and how that money wound up with Hope Florida's foundation, and then how Hope Florida Foundation gave money to two groups that then wound up making significant contributions to oppose Amendment 3, the amendment that would have legalized marijuana if it passed. So you have all this kind of going on, and it is clear that there is, at this point in time, there's not a lot of love between the Republican speaker and the Republican governor. And you have everybody taking aim at each other, and you have people who are supportive of DeSantis going after Perez, but you have Perez and people in the House pushing back against that. And then while we have all this happening, we have like appointees of the governor who are not getting confirmed by the Senate. So it's just been it's been quite a frenzied time up here of late.
We heard this afternoon, in fact, just moments ago, maybe 20 minutes ago or so, the Attorney General, James Othmeyer, at a news conference in Tampa, was asked about Hope, Florida, said that he was not involved with arranging the payment, talked about cooperating to provide the records that the House has asked of him. There is another committee meeting, on Thursday? That will continue to look at this. So more on Hope, Florida to come this week.
Yeah, probably. And I think the speaker last week in remarks to reporters made it abundantly clear that just even if the session ends on May 2nd, that doesn't mean that this all goes away. And in fact, on top of, as part of, as all this is unfolded, the House has asked for a whole lot of documents from several state agencies, and they kind of gave them until the middle of May to return them. So, as I pointed out in that piece that I did on Speaker Perez, he basically said, I'm here for the next 18 months. And so, I don't know how much longer this is going to play out, but it looks like it's not ending right away.
All right, a lot going on in the halls of the Capitol there. Last thing I'll ask you here, Gary, and that's just what are you keeping your eye on? What should we keep our eye on as things move forward?
Well, I think the main thing to see is, can they bring the session in for a landing? And, there's all sorts of buzz and speculation and trepidation about, would DeSantis, if he doesn't get what he wants in a multiple of arenas, would he call them back? Will he veto the budget? Will this continue to just sort of drag out? I would say that, we don't often in Florida have this threat of a shutdown, but, they have to have a new budget in place by the end of June. And so it's late April, so there's time to put one together. But that's what we have to see. Are they going to be able to bring this all together? And how is DeSantis going to respond, especially after they've, have not gone along with his agenda, have not gone along with his budget recommendations, and have rejected several of his appointees?
So we will continue to watch many of those things that we're talking about. The House and the Senate will both be in session starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we'll have coverage here on Fox 35 News Plus, and then that Hope, Florida, that next panel. The next committee meeting looking into that is scheduled for Thursday. We're going to go ahead and take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back in 2 minutes.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. Volusia County Schools dealing with a $25 million budget shortfall because of 4,000 students that are leaving the school district. And what we learned is that they are not the only school district seeing an exodus of students for charter schools, virtual schools, or homeschooling. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay joins me live now via Zoom. Chris, you've been looking into this a little bit today. Just kind of where do things stand?
So this is in Volusia County, a trend that they've been seeing happen for the past 4 years now. There are a bunch of reasons why this is happening. I've also spoken with board members in Orange County as well. Some of the reasons are school choice. Parents now have the option to send their children elsewhere with these vouchers that essentially make it free for them. So that's one of the main things. They're also just pushing towards improving what they have to offer in general. So tonight here in Orange County, one of the things that's on the docket is hiring a third-party company to potentially re-recruit students and families that have already left. And if they are able to successfully do that, then they would receive a commission of sorts. So there's just a lot of brainstorming and spitballing around the solutions for these shortages. As you mentioned, in Volusia County, it's around 4,000 students less than they expected. Here in Orange County, it's about 3,100 students less than expected. And we're seeing this trend throughout Central Florida as a whole.
And so what is there to, well, let me say it this way. So we know that this also has a, clearly has a pretty substantial financial impact. And why is that?
Well, each student that is in the district has a financial tag applied to them. So in some instances, it's around $8,000. Other instances, around $7,000. So they account for that money in their budget. And regardless of whether those students are there or not, they still have some of these expenses. So one of the ways that a board member explained it to me is even if a classroom only loses 2 or 3 students, they still have the same amount of expenses for busing or for certain activities, for paying the teachers themselves. So when they lose this $25 million of funding in Volusia County, that doesn't mean that they don't have a lot of the same expenses. So they're going to have to find out ways to account for that. So while you hear 3,000, 4,000 students in the grand scheme of things may not seem like a lot, but there are tens of millions of dollars that are tied to whether those students are there or not.
It is certainly interesting to see, and interesting to see the trend of it. You said this is something that in a couple of these school districts has really kind of been trending this way. This isn't just something that happened overnight.
Yes, as I mentioned, in the Volusia County School District, they say this is the 4th year in a row where they've seen a decrease in their enrollment. So this is something they're really going to have to approach head on. I mentioned that option here in Orange County where they may have a third party come in and see what they can do to help. So the main thing that they're really focused on as far as the board members are concerned is just making sure that the content and the quality of the education is the best they can possibly achieve with the budget they have. And they're hoping that if they get things up to the standard that they've set, that maybe people who have left will come back.
All right, a lot of interesting things to watch, and going to be interesting to see how these school districts deal with this as well. Fox 35's Chris Lindsay, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thank you.
We are also following up today on the plane that caught on fire yesterday on the tarmac at Orlando International Airport, and now learning some new details about potential issues with that plane that became evident at one point during the evacuation. Joining us live now via Zoom is Fox 35's Marie Ettinger. And Marie, we heard from some of the witness accounts yesterday talking about issues with one of the slides that was used for getting them out of there.
Yeah, and Fox 35's own video actually shows that very issue with the slide. People on board said that at least one of the slides was not deploying properly, it wasn't functioning properly. And so they were stuck on the plane for quite some time while crews had to bring in stairwells or bring in, portable stairs to another side of the plane so that people could deboard that way. Fox 35 was able to see that on one side of the plane, actually the side where the engine caught fire, a slide was deployed, it was inflated. On the opposite side of the plane, though, there was a slide that rolled out but never inflated, so people couldn't get down it. So we have video of that. I talked with a bunch of experts about this today because I wanted to know, is there some option where maybe the pilot thought that was the safer instance? We hear all the time about people getting injured while they go down those slides. They try to bring stuff with them and they wind up hitting themselves, or they land awkwardly and break something. It can be dangerous. And so I was thinking maybe the pilot just decided that the fire was out and the smoke wasn't bad, and so they could take the extra time to bring in the stairs, and maybe that would be safer. So I asked 4 different pilots about this today. A couple of them are professors in this now. One of them is, he handles maintenance. They all told me, no, no potential on earth would that be the scenario. Part of that is because the slides are actually supposed to inflate automatically. So if you've flown, you've seen this, you see the flight attendants go by, they close the doors, they engage those slides. And when they do that, that makes sure that the slides roll down, and automatically when they roll out, it pulls on a string that has a compressor that inflates them. So there would have been some issue potentially with the compressor, with the thing that fills them up, or with the string that's supposed to pull in order to launch that. Every single expert I talked with today said this is an issue, and it's a bad one, because if the fire had been worse, just think of what would have happened. So a lot of people today told me, we're super lucky that people didn't wind up hurt because of this, or that things weren't worse. But obviously people who are experiencing this do not want to rely on luck. They want to make sure that those slides are working.
Well, and that's one of the things that we heard from one of those witnesses or not one of those witnesses, one of those passengers on the plane yesterday, who kind of said that very thing. If this were larger, there would have been really nothing we could have done.
Yeah, the experts I talked with today, one of them mentioned that it could take 15, 20 minutes to bring those stairs out to the plane, just to get the stairs there, not to mention getting all the people off of the plane itself. FAA regulations say you are supposed to be able to evacuate in 90 seconds or less. They also say that 50% of those exits should be functioning. Now, the experts I talked with said that you really should not be exiting on the side with the engine that just caught fire. But again, that's the side where we saw the slide still functioning. That might have been a determination by the pilot and the flight attendants saying that it did seem safe. And as for checking whether these are actually going to be functional ahead of the flight, I asked about that too. One pilot told me you can check to make sure that the compressors are full so that they would fill up the slides when they deploy. But other than that, there isn't really a lot that you do. You do check them occasionally. There's regular maintenance that goes on. And for the engine that caught fire, I asked about that too. We have check engine lights in our cars. Why is there no check engine light warning the pilot that their engine's about to catch fire when they try to take off? That does exist. The check engine light equivalent for planes, that does exist. And there are checks that are done. But the pilots I was talking with today were explaining, if you get your regular maintenance done and the crew the night before they don't report any issues, and you do your visual check and you go through your checklist and you don't see anything wrong with the engine, there's just nothing that would say that it would be wrong. And then similarly, if there's no sign that the slide is not going to deploy, there's no way you'd know. So that's I guess, a little bit frightening. Just we got to keep in mind that evacuations like this are so rare, and that the reason this is in the news at all is because a fire like that is so rare.
And I would imagine this evacuation will also be part of the FAA's investigation into this.
Yeah, I reached out to the FAA about this, just trying to ask more about those slides. They said they're investigating. They just pointed me to the same statement that they told us yesterday. Delta also said that they're just waiting on the FAA's investigation. The NTSB pointed me back to the FAA. So I was trying to learn more about this particular incident and what we could figure out for now. I was not successful in that, but I did wind up talking with 4 different experts who all said essentially the exact same thing about this. One of them, though, did tell me this little tidbit that I really want to share with you guys because it interested me. If you've been on a flight, you probably have heard the flight attendants mention when you land to please close the screen over the window. They say that's to keep in the air conditioning so that the sun isn't pounding down and make sure to keep the plane a little bit cooler. And then when you before you take off, the flight attendants will go through and make sure that they're all closed before you get on the plane. That's actually against the standard in essentially every other country, is what this pilot was telling me and what I was able to confirm and look up after that. So it's even against the FAA's own recommendations and regulations that we used to follow. And the reason is you want to be able to look out the window and see if anything's on fire when you're taking off. So when you're landing. So having it closed is really not a great idea. And that's something that other countries still go by, and we just don't over here.
All right. Well, I will definitely keep that shade open next time. Now that I know. Fox 35's Marie Ettinger. We appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Anytime. Thanks so much.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
And welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Wymer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. The Brevard County Commission considering a tax hike for property owners in order to help pay for the fire department. This is a story that Fox 35's Esther Bauer has been tracking for a while when it comes to the funding issues for that fire department. And Esther, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Fox 35 News Plus. It sounds like things today are kind of coming to a head.
Yeah, definitely some choice language from some county taxpayers to the commissioners as this public safety saga really continues to drag on. some really telling the commissioners that you ran on this issue of getting a new contract for firefighters, ultimately paying firefighters more so fewer keep leaving the county. And as of today, we didn't see much movement when it comes to that specific contract, but there is some movement when it comes to doing some tax hikes on homeowners. So a lot to unpack. Like you said, we've been covering this for months. Some commissioners were really wanting to see about a 75% fire assessment tax hike for homeowners, ultimately saying we are in such a crisis, we can ask our homeowners to pay more so that when they call 911, they're going to have crews come out and receive services. Other commissioners did not see it that way. They said in any other aspect of life, we cannot ask taxpayers to deal with a 75% hike. They argued that you would feel that in every business that your life touches, whether that's going to the grocery store, daycares, anything that you need to do. Every business that owns a property would end up dealing with that hike, and it'd be passed on to people needing services. So what they did move forward with is a 37% tax hike, and that's a cap at this point. So they set a cap of when we do look into this fire assessment for property owners, we're not going to go 7%. To break that down, what does it mean? If you own about an 1,800 square foot home, you're going to be paying about $128 more per year, around $8 or so around $10 or so per month. Then we heard some taxpayers say at the podium, I'm willing to pay more. I would absolutely pay more. So I feel like our public safety and our fire department could be doing better. That obviously didn't happen. And the highest we could see that hike affecting homeowners is 37%. So we did check in with the fire union, just trying to get an update on where things stand in the county. We're having brush fires breaking out. We just had a burn ban go into effect because of raging wildfires. And all of that coming when the department has 90 seats open. So they are still really struggling when it comes to staffing. And some are just worried a hike like this is, quote, a wet Band-Aid. And so it's not going to do enough to really make meaningful change when it comes to funding firefighters.
So what are the next steps then, Esther?
Right. So County Commission did approve this property tax fire assessment cap. So it cannot go over that 37%, but they still need to hear from the public on what exactly they're going to set the hike at. It could go below that. Can't go over, but could go below. So May 20th is the date that we are being told this is going to come up for a final vote on what property owners will see their fire assessment property tax increase look like. And as far as a contract, right now, county and union are waiting to hear some opinions from a special magistrate. They both presented their sides to this outside legal court, and that magistrate is going to be issuing their views, their findings on where things stand, hoping for that within the next 30 days. But as for a new contract, we're going on 6 months where firefighters haven't had one. And union president tells me 2 years without any kind of raise for firefighters.
All right, we will continue to watch that. I know you've been on top of this story from the very beginning. Fox 35's Esther Bauer, we appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely, a lot to track, and we'll continue to follow it.
Meanwhile, in Brevard County, this is a live look at a rally right now outside the Brevard County School Board meeting in support of Melissa Calhoun. In fact, you saw her name on one of those signs just a minute ago, Stand with Calhoun. She is the teacher whose contract was not renewed after using a student's preferred name instead of their legal name. So this coming up at the board meeting tonight. This is the rally outside in Viera going on right now. Looks like a large crowd out there. And saw some chanting a minute ago. Looks like someone's speaking. Let's go ahead and listen in here.
6, flip the Brevard School Board. Not for a particular political party, but for the community. Yes. We want a board that will put students before politics. Yes. We want a board that will support our teachers in supporting our students. Yes. And we want a board that will protect all parent rights. Can I get a yeah? Can I get a yeah? Yeah! We're here because Miss Calhoun, a respected teacher, is being fired for respecting a student. Can I get a boo? Boo! As if the person was right in front of you who said, we're gonna fire her. Can I get a boo? Boo! We are showing up to provide the same support that Ms. Calhoun should be receiving from this board, should be receiving from our government, and should be receiving from every member of this community. And so when we leave today, when the meeting is over, I want two things. One, I want you to make sure that you've been plugged in somehow, either the sign-up sheet, either going to Amy. There's going to be a debrief meeting tomorrow over Zoom, and that's going to be so important in sorting our next steps. Because today is an important day. Today is a powerful day, but it is not the last day. It is not the end of anything. It is going to be the start of a powerful movement. Can I get a hey ya? Hey ya!
That rally in support of Melissa Calhoun outside the Brevard County School Board meeting, that meeting slated to get underway in a little bit. Fox 35's Chancellor Wynn is there. He'll have updates for us in just a little bit on Fox 35 News at 5 and then also later tonight as well. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Let's talk a little theme parks now because we have some new details about booking info for Disney resorts in 2026, looking ahead to next year, and also some new details about updates coming to a ride at Hollywood Studios. Fox 35 associate producer Johnny Jackson spoke earlier with Drew Smith, aka Drew the Disney Dude.
That like we're not even to these major summer offerings yet, you know, with all the live entertainment and some of the just little things that are happening throughout the resort this summer. But yeah, we have bookings now available through Walt Disney World in October of 2026. So it's important to know that those dates for November and December aren't available yet, and they will be coming at a later date. But the big thing for 2026 is that you have free kids dining plans throughout the entire year in 2026 for kids ages 3 through 9 if you purchase a package for all the other family members in the party. So basically, if the adults in that party, 10 and above, buy this package, while the kids ages 3 through 9 get a free dining plan for the entire year, which I think is pretty nice. Also, kind of just the fact that I think that value will kind of depend a little bit on how many kids you have ages 3 through 9. If you have kids in that age range, and then, you know, maybe a family has a family of 5, but they don't have any there, well, that's not necessarily a perk for them. So that'll depend a little bit on, you know, just who you have in your party. We also have some of those perks coming back for 2026. Early theme park entry extended evening hours and the water park free admission on check-in day for resort guests. It's important to know, though, that the water park option where you get that free ticket whenever you first check in is only coming back in summer of 2026. We don't have those dates yet, so just stay tuned for that. And I think the big thing is those single day ticket prices. It's important to know just the fact that if you buy a multi-day ticket, you know you're going to get more value there compared to if you buy a single day ticket. But at Magic Kingdom, it's ranging from $139 to $199. Epcot is $129 to $184. Hollywood Studios is $139 to $194, and the Animal Kingdom is $119 to $179. Again, that we don't have those big dates yet for Thanksgiving and Christmas, but for now, you're not going above $200 for Magic Kingdom, so there hasn't been a major increase there yet, which is nice to see. I say yet because I fear that there will be an increase whenever you get closer to Christmas, which I hope isn't the case. But yeah, 2026, those are all the deals there. Check out Disney Parks blog for more information. I think the big thing that I'm really pumped about are the updates coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. We know that May 22nd, 2026, Disney's going to be debuting a brand new mission themed around The Mandalorian and Grogu the same day the movie releases in theaters. And we got a lot of storyline details here. I think the biggest thing is that we're finally getting a use for the engineer role. Everyone's always, I think in recent years, just been like, I don't want to be engineer, you know, especially the single rider queue line. But now we know that once this new mission debuts, if you are in the single rider line, or if you just get engineer in general, you will have direct contact with Grogu on the little screen to your left or to your right, depending on where you're sitting. So you'll get to care for Grogu, interact with him, and I think that that just adds a ton of interactivity to the ride. Also, the fact that the storyline's going to kind of follow Hondo Ohnaka finding out about ex-Imperial officers and pirates teaming up, and we're going to go after them, claiming this bounty. We're going to start off in Tatooine, and then for the first time ever, the crew's actually going to decide where we go after that. You have Bespin, Endor, and Coruscant, so some of those iconic planets. And the big thing here that I'm really excited about too, on top of just the storyline stuff that no one's talking about, is that how this $1.5 billion investment with Epic Games, this partnership between Disney and Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, that is directly powering this update. So I've seen a lot of people say, well, I don't necessarily care about this Epic Games thing because I don't play Fortnite, but it's going to have a positive impact on Disney parks for decades to come, in my opinion. And this is all running on Epic's Unreal Engine 5. So that kind of is why we're having this real-time rendering, being able to choose the planets. This new technology that Epic has created is allowing Walt Disney Imagineering to run with it and tell a story in a deeper way. So that's kind of like the angle that I'm really interested in, and how they do that in the future going forward. And then over at Disney's Animal Kingdom, today is the 27th anniversary of that park for Earth Day, which is crazy to think about because we were just celebrating this park's 25th, and then in a few years we'll be celebrating this park's 30th anniversary. I think the big thing here that I'm looking forward to for the park in the future is this Tropical America's Land. In 2028, Animal Kingdom's 30th anniversary, this land will be open by then. So just 3 years in the future, we'll be celebrating the opening of this land. And this video that was sent to me from my friend, you guys can kind of see how Disney is moving full steam ahead here on this land. That former Dino-Rama area has been fully gone. It's all gone at this point, and we have dirt moving, trees being removed. So Disney's moving full steam ahead, and that narrative of Disney can't work quickly, it's just not true. You know, we've seen some of those projects take longer than we'd hoped in recent years, but that was all a strategic investment, whether we like it or not. But now whenever they want this thing open, you know, in the next 2.5 to 3 years, you can just see how fast they're working here. So the future of Animal Kingdom is pretty exciting, especially with having 3 new attractions here. I guess new, you know, you have a reimagining of Dinosaur. It's new in a sense, right? But the carousel and the Encanto ride are all brand new from the ground up. So exciting stuff ahead.
When we think about the updates to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, it feels like Disney's trying to make it much more of an interactive experience, right? Especially with the engineer role, it kind of felt like, at least in my experience, something that parents would kind of throw their kid on, or, you know, your friend, you take the hit, you know, to be the engineer. Now it feels like that kind of renewed push to make it an interactive, and with all the Epic Games stuff, you know, Epic Games, video games, that interactive nature of it. What does it say about potentially the future of other attractions at Disney parks?
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point, and kind of just the fact that Disney has an opportunity to kind of do whatever they want with these attractions. It's just a matter of which one gets the focus, which one gets the budget, and where are the ideas at for certain updates, right? Like, I don't think that if you told me in 2019 when this ride opened that in 2026 it's essentially a brand new attraction. And I think that I've seen some people saying, well, why are they sharing this stuff with us, over a year out? Because this isn't until Memorial Day weekend in 2026. But the reality is, Walt Disney Imagineering confirmed they're spending 18 months on this update for, a 5-minute long ride. Also, just the fact that you kind of have that pre-show with Hondo Ohnaka, and right now you're doing it for the Resistance with Coaxium, but now it's an entirely different story. So I'm expecting updates to, Jim Cummings coming back and voicing Hondo with new lines. But yeah, you bring up a really good point. And just the fact that Disney is already incorporating Unreal Engine in 15 attractions, more than 15 rides, and we're already seeing this collaboration kind of play out here before this whole digital universe inside of Fortnite debuts. We don't even have a debut date for that yet, but it will be after, this update happens to the ride. There's just so much potential here. And I think that, once they kind of get those internal guest ratings for this Falcon update and people love it, then that gives them the confidence to invest more money and more updates going forward.
That's going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus. We appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Going to go ahead and send things out to Studio A for the start of Fox 35 News at 5. We'll be right back here at 11 a.m. with more Fox 35 News Plus. You can always keep it here on Fox Local, where the news never stops. Thanks for joining us.
Right now on Fox 35 News at 5.
She's just screaming very loudly.
A terrifying scene outside a mother's home.
Get away from the door now!
Ends with bullets flying at her front door.
And Fox 35 investigates. Holy a plane burst into flames, passengers evacuated. But there's one issue.
You cannot get all those people off through one exit door.
Today, we're asking what went wrong.
Central Florida's population is booming, but our public schools are seeing thousands of fewer kids in the classrooms.
It's going to make it harder for us to provide those choices to our families.
How their absence is costing you.
We begin tonight with new body camera video of a deadly deputy-involved shooting. This doorway disaster happened right outside of a home in Lake County where a mother and her 2 young kids were hiding inside. Thanks for joining us. I'm Luann Sorrell.
And I'm John Brown. We're also hearing the 911 call as the suspect was trying to break in the front door. Fox 35's Randy Hildreth is live in Claremont tonight with that story. So, Randy, what's the latest there?
Yeah, good evening to you both. As you mentioned, we got that body camera video, that 911 audio late this afternoon. The woman who called 911 said she thought the suspect only had a cell phone, but when deputies arrived and encountered the suspect, they saw the gun and said he tried to use that to get into her home. I do want to warn you, as you're watching this body camera video, it may be difficult for you to watch.
Stop! You're gonna get shot!
New body camera video appears to show the moment 39-year-old Eric Escobar allegedly reached for his gun and was shot and killed by law enforcement. Lake County Sheriff's Office says they'd gotten a 911 call about a suspicious person off Via Roma Circle.
There's some strange guy outside screaming at the top of his lungs with his phone going in circles.
One homeowner told dispatchers Escobar was screaming at passing cars and came right up to her door.
I have 2 daughters. My husband's not home.
The body camera video starts when deputies arrive and see Escobar in the street.
Dude, we gotta go in there, bro. I can't go in there. She's the one that called me and told me you were banging on our door.
During the conversation, the deputy notices what appears to be a gun, which Escobar confirms.
Is that a gun? Yes. Okay. I got 2 of them. Put your hands up in the air right now.
The sheriff's office says Escobar would not listen to the responding deputy.
Put your hands up now. Yes.
Investigators say things escalated once Escobar appeared to walk back towards the house.
Get away from the door now! Stop! You're gonna get shot!
The state is investigating the shooting, which is standard protocol. Reporting tonight, Randy Hildreth, Fox 35 News.
Randy, thank you. Now for a Fox 35 investigation into trouble on the tarmac. Yesterday, we showed you this video of a plane on fire at Orlando International Airport. Well, more than 200 people were evacuated, but one emergency slide never inflated. Fox 35's Marie Edinger is joining us live now at that airport tonight. So, Marie, you spoke to aviation experts who say that is a huge red flag.
Delta Airlines did not answer my questions today about